this is a good technique. Do this. Do this. This is a good way to do this, right? Hallelujah. We finally made it, my brothers. Someone actually using masking tape correctly in a video. It only took like what, 10 attempts or something to get to this point. Yes, welcome back, my friends. Iron Within Brothers. Yes, that's right. Fresh off the presses, Games Workshop has decided to grace us with a new How to Paint Iron Warriors Hazard Stripes tutorial. Oh, yes. So, this just released an hour ago. I've not looked at the video. It's like 5 minutes long. So let's just jump straight into this because always remember, it was like a year ago that we looked at the last How to Paint Iron Warriors video from Games Workshop, and it was a video. So let's see. So this entire video is them showing us. So this is the gold standard, right? The gold standard on how to do hazard stripes. Surely they will get it right this time, right? So let's just jump straight into this. Oh man. So here we are with No Name Studio Painter. Oh yes.
Hazard stripes appear across loads of models, whether they be a simple cable or on the plated armour of an Iron Warrior. Whatever it may be, painting hazard stripes is an awesome way to make your minis really stand out. And although it may look quite tricky to pull off, it's actually super easy. Take it from me, I actually have a small Iron Warriors collection myself, and I've had loads of practice of painting hazard stripes on all sorts of shapes and sizes. Right, with that said, let's get started. The paint and brushes that we've used are on screen now.
Yes, absolute goat, Avalan Sunset. Always use Avalan Sunset for your base.
As with every model, remember there is no right or wrong way to paint it, and these are only our suggestions. So for our first example, I've got an Iron Warriors Tactical Marine that I've been working on, and he's just about ready for some hazard stripes. Now obviously you're free to paint these in any colour you want to, but the most popular choice is yellow and black. And that's what I'm going to be doing. With that in mind, I'm starting with yellow, using Avalan Sunset on everywhere that I want my stripes to be. You can choose as many or as little areas you want for this, but if you're just practicing, a great place to pick out is the knee pad here, which is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, and the main reason for that, and I've talked about this before, it's the newer shoulder pads they have the double curvature. It's like trying to paint a straight line on a sphere. It's easy to get one or two lines on there, but after a while, all the different lines they start to converge to a point, which when you're trying to paint hazard stripes isn't really the look you want to go for. I need to do a video at some point because the previous generation of Mark III armor, the actual shoulder pads were a lot shallower. So it was a lot easier to do hazard stripes. It was a lot easier to use tape or draw it with a pencil or anything like that, right? Because they were shallow, because they weren't as pronounced in shape, in form. So it's quite telling that, right, we're going to do hazard stripes. We're not doing the shoulder pads. We're going straight for the knee pad because that's almost a flat surface, right?
Speaking of which, with that yellow base coat applied, now it's time to add some hazard stripes. Now there's a couple of ways to physically go about doing this. You can go straight in and freehand them, or use masking tape, which we'll talk about more in a second. Because this area is so small, using freehand is the best choice.
I will always argue that you should be using masking tape, even if it's just a case of cutting the masking tape into thin strips, because it's not difficult to take a pair of scissors and just snip along the actual length of the masking tape to get the very thin lines that you want. But I get why he's doing it here because it's something that a lot of you guys, a lot of my followers like to beat their chests about is the idea that, oh yeah, freehanding with a brush is fine. You know my feelings on this, but it is very telling that he's not doing the actual rounded shoulder pauldrons, right? Because I think that's what people really want to know. People really want to know, right, how do I get my hazard stripes on the shoulders, which are some of the hardest things? How do I get that double curvature to look right?
Feel free to practice on your palette before painting the mini itself if you want to. But I honestly never get perfect lines anyway, even if I do this. I personally find it's much easier to just do your best, and then you can simply switch back to Avalan Sunset and reapply some thin layers to neaten up everything.
But this is the problem because you can see that those lines aren't straight, right? It's not just me. I know I'm not crazy. You can hold up at anything. You can hold up a ruler to the screen and go, yeah, those lines are not straight. They are deviating up. And the reason they are doing that is because he's free-handed it with a brush. And yeah, it's a very tiny area you're working on, but people see that. People can tell that at a distance.
On small areas like this, I find this approach works great. So you can see here the lines aren't perfect, but because the area is so small, it will look great on the gaming table. But on large areas, you may find it harder to create perfectly straight hazard lines. Mistakes are much easier to see on large details, which is why masking tape can be such a useful tool. Any old masking tape will do. There's plenty of different sizes out there to choose from.
Okay, great. So what we have here, we've got regular masking tape, we've got painter's tape in the middle, and then we've got the actual Tamiya brand tape on the far right there. It's quite interesting, right? From a Games Workshop studio perspective, they are showing non-Games Workshop products in this video, aren't they? Now, don't get me wrong, I've no illusion that Games Workshop are going to start releasing a Hazard Warrior stripe tape or something, an Iron Warrior Hazard Stripes tape or something as a product. Because they don't make tapes, do they? Because if you look at any other hobbyist on YouTube doing a tutorial, they will quite happily branch out of Games Workshop materials to do their tutorial. They'll use different paints, they'll use different tools, they'll use different brushes. But Games Workshop's actual studio doesn't have that luxury. Everything they show in the videos has to be purchasable from Games Workshop. The exception here being the cutting mat in the background and the tapes on display. And I find that quite interesting because that's a shift. Always remember the previous videos where it would be a flat white generic table and then one of the like GW branded cutting mats.
So choose what you think will best work for your mini and the sort of stripes that you're after. Masking tape is perfect for large flat areas like this Spartan door here, and I've gone ahead and base coated it in Avalanche Sunset already, so now it's time to apply the tape. I like to cut out a lot of little strips ready, and once that's done, I usually stick them to a surface a couple times. Doing this means that some of that sticky residue is removed, and we don't risk pulling the paint off of our model. Now you can just place these straight onto the mini and just leave gaps in between each piece, but if you want to be really precise like me, then a neat trick you can do is just place all the strips in a line like so, and then remove every other piece.
I'll hold my hands up. I've not done a tutorial video on how to do this yet. It's in the works, but it takes a lot of time. But, for me, because I've done hazard stripes for so long, I can just kind of eyeball the width between each strip and just put it on there. But if you're new to doing this, this is a good technique. Do this. Do this. This is a good way to do this, right? Hallelujah. We finally made it, my brothers. Someone actually using masking tape correctly in a video. It only took like, what, 10 attempts or something to get to this point?
Time to add the black. Now you can paint this on with a brush or a spray can or even a piece of sponge. I often like to use Chaos Black spray where I can, which is exactly what I did on my own Spartan doors. But on this occasion, let's try using a sponge so we can see what that looks like.
And I think one of the things that people often forget is if you've never really done this before, some of the things that we take for granted, the person starting out in this hobby just isn't going to know. So the actual bits you're putting tape down on, those are the bits that are going to be yellow when you peel them away. So on this door panel, there's going to be 4 yellow bands and 3 black bands. I know that, and you know that as experienced painters, but someone who's brand new to doing this, they might not know that. So, this is a good video. Finally, we finally got there, my brothers.
Load it up with some Abaddon Black, dab off the excess on a paper towel, and you're ready to go. The advantage of using a sponge is that we can actually paint from above the tape. We don't risk any brush hairs getting underneath it and getting black onto those yellow areas. Plus, the end result we'll get from this will be really unique. And you'll see what I mean once the paint has dried, because now it's time.
I mean, you could just use a paintbrush and it would be fine. In regards to paintbrushes getting under there, you see how at the top of the door panel, the tape's actually pulling away because it's not been fully put on the model. Easiest trick there is to actually put the tape on flush and like press against it with your finger or your thumb and make sure that it's on there flush. And then there's no risk of bleed through or your brush sort of sticking under the paint because it can't, because the actual tape is applied fully. I get what's happening here. What's happening is that kind of common beginner's trap of you've got your precious door panel that you've painted, you put your painter's tape on or your masking tape, and as you peel it away, you peel up some of the paint that was originally there. I've done that myself. Show the video. It's a very easy mistake to make. But you can avoid that by, say, putting a gloss or matte varnish on it before you do this step, or by just being careful when you're peeling the tape off. But yeah, sponging it on, I just use a paintbrush. Some people use an airbrush, sure, why not?
Time for the super satisfying bit. Carefully peel off the tape to reveal worn and battle-damaged hazard stripes. At this point, you can quickly tidy up with a brush if you think you need to.
Oh, you got a lot of yellow still showing through. Like it's serviceable enough. Don't get me wrong. Like that is good. That is 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better than just freehanding on these big models with a brush and your eyeball and going, yeah, that'll do. That looks good. But it could be better, and it could be better by just filling in all those little panel line details with black paint, making sure it's in there. And ultimately, when it comes to getting right up to the edge, I mean, you see how this is the whole thing when you're not putting the tape on fully. You see how this one, I don't know, tooth of the door, you see how that's got some black overspill and that's not in line. You'd avoid that if you actually put the tape on fully, but
But honestly, I think this already looks pretty good. Now you may come across areas that are sort of in between small and large, and in which case just try to use your own judgment. For example, on this Saturnine Terminator, there's no sub-assembly, so using a sponge or a spray to add the stripes is going to be quite tricky. I like to use masking tape wherever I can, so even though it's not ideal here,
okay, one thing he's doing is he's brushing towards the masking tape. Don't do that. Don't do that. Brush in line with the masking tape. Your bristles are not going to go under the tape if you apply it fully to the model. If it's lifting up away from the model, the bristles will go underneath and you get the bleed through. So push the tape on firmly and then brush along with it. Like you're shaving your beard or your face or your legs, right? You cut with the grain as opposed to against it or side on.
I'm trying to make it work. I'm adding the black with a brush this time around, and it's worked pretty well overall, but I will need to tidy up a little bit. If you come across a mistake that you're really struggling to fix, I like to just cover those up with some trusty battle damage.
I mean, you could just use Avalanche Sunset, use your base color again, and just touch up those lines. You know, if you've not done anything else to the yellow, there you go.
Rhinox Hide looks great next to Avalanche Sunset. And there we are, that's some awesome tricks to help you paint hazard stripes on your minis. At the end of the day, they're just some black and yellow lines, but wow, do they look great on miniatures. That's all from me today, but in the meantime, if you're looking for more tutorials, tips and tricks, you can check out some of the other videos on the Warhammer YouTube channel, or alternatively, if you want some help in store, you can head to a Warhammer store where our friendly staff are always happy to help. Thanks for watching, see you next time, bye bye!
And that's it. So yes, there it is, my friends. Can I just note as well, hazard tape in the background in the studio goes very hard. I appreciate that. It's a good, I tell you what, considering the amount of videos I've watched now on how to paint Iron Wars and TikTok videos and YouTube shorts and masterclass videos and all this, it is so good to finally see just, here it is. Here's how you do it. If you're a complete beginner and you don't know how to do hazard stripes, follow this video. It is less than 5 minutes long. It will take you no time at all to find masking tape where you live, and I'm going to prove that to you right now. So start the timer, okay? There, masking tape. I keep that in the front room with all our other tapes. So parcel tape, regular sellotape, you name it, right? It's not kept in a special drawer or with my modeling tools or anything like that, because masking tape gets used in everyday life in all sorts of scenarios, right? It is very easy to find masking tape to do this. And again, if you want to cut it to size, you can do that. I don't have a pair of scissors, but if you want to cut it to size, you can do that. You can get a pair of scissors and you can cut along the length of the masking tape, and you can cut it as thin as you need it, right? Hazard stripes are not difficult. If you are a beginner painter, you can do this. Watch this video. This was a good video. Yes, finally, we finally found one, my brothers. A good how to paint hazard stripes video. Thank the Lord. Thank Perturabo himself. We finally did it, my brothers. Well done, Games Workshop. You have redeemed yourself. And you're now at the top of the how to paint Iron Warriors hazard stripes hierarchy. Because this is a good video. There are little things that you could touch up, but the reality is if you are painting an army of Iron Warriors, you can have more than enough ample opportunity to try this. So yes, well done, Games Workshop. That's a good video. Fantastic. Bloody fantastic. So yes, that is everything for today. Thank you all for watching, my friends. I never do enough self-promotion in these videos, so check out all the links in the description down below. Check out Games Workshop's video, of course. Check out my Patreon if you'd so like. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next Iron Warriors video. Thank you. Iron without brothers.